Amigos, amigas, welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. Today, a special edition of Landon Donovan new-esque kind of type of show that we're going to be talking about, and we're going to give it a little bit of different spin here with the Mexican Soccer Show, because this is a topic that a lot of people over the weekend have been talking about, wanting to get our thoughts. Yesterday was a little hard for us to get on the show. People traveling. Cesar was a little sick, so hopefully he gets better. But we decided to jump on today to talk all about the news. Yes, if you haven't heard already, Landon Donovan is with my Lyon. Yes, and I'll say mine. We'll talk a little bit about. But tonight we're gonna have a little bit of different take in the way that we do the Mexican Soccer Show, because we're gonna have Mr. Jason Markowitz here to be our host for tonight. I'll take the seat since I will be one of the panelists, since apparently people want to get my reaction to this news because I'm the only Lyon fan on Twitter. So I'm going to go ahead and not host today and give it to Mr. Jason. So, Mr. Jason, take it away.
Well, hello. Yes, and I apologize in advance. But yeah, we're mostly afraid that Weiser's just going to go off the rails at some point here and just kind of lose his mind. So someone else needs to be steering the ship. So we're going to start with the big question for tonight, and that was: do you expect Landon Donovan's arrival in Lyon to have a bigger impact on or off the pitch? And Tom, why don't you take it away first?
Probably off the pitch. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously Landon Donovan, he might be 35 years old.
Almost 36.
He might not have played. Yeah, he almost might not have played in 14 months, but it's Landon Donovan. It's the last great US soccer player, the figurehead of this US-Mexico rivalry for so long. And having him in Mexico, all right, he might be 8 years too late, because in 2009 he was about to sign for Club America. I think it's absolutely fascinating. Do something on the pitch. You wouldn't rule it out. I mean, he seemed absolutely 100% focused from listening to him on his in his press conference yesterday. He said, because I actually asked him, I said, have you got a fear of failure here? You've had such a good career, and with the national team, in MLS. You've come out of retirement now. You already come out once. And now 14 months later, as a 35-year-old, to go to a league that's better, and I said, a better league than MLS, and expect to do it, you must feel that this could be your last club in your whole career. You must feel that it'd be kind of a stain on what would have been a really good career. And he said, listen, that was the first thing that came to my head. And absolutely 100% focused and committed on this. My concern is the pace, but I don't know whether his body will be able to match what his head wants to do, and I think that's the worry.
Yeah, and that's we'll certainly see how that develops. Wisa, what do you think, on or off the pitch? Where are we going to see the biggest impact for Landon Donovan with Lyon?
I think the question is definitely off the pitch. I took myself in I kind of divided myself into three persons, three people here, because I wanted to be, the first thing that came to my mind was, are you kidding me? There's no way it's not true. Plus, I was listening to my friend Hercules Gomez saying it's not true, so I was like, I'm going to dismiss it. It's holiday. I'm going to enjoy some time off. There's no way this is going to happen. Then, obviously, it started surfacing some more. Lyon tweeting, Landon's kind of getting in there. And then it became reality. And it's just kind of, how do I feel about this? To answer your question, Jason, I'm going to go with, obviously, off the field. I mean, it's huge, the fact that Landon Donovan is going to Mexico and playing in Lyon and going to get some minutes. I think it's the impact you see there. Everyone's talking about Lyon more than even when they won the championship. I haven't heard people talk about Lyon in the United States as much, because of Mr. Landon Donovan. Credit to him, he was an excellent player for Galaxy, excellent player for the United States, as we've seen against Mexico. So yeah, apparently, you're going to see lots and lots of jersey sales. You're going to see people tuning in from the United States, maybe American fans that have never really watched any games and are going to watch now Lyon. And of course, even the world just kind of listening to somebody that's coming out of retirement for the second time and joining a what team is this? León Guanajuato in Mexico. Not a big team either. So of course it's going to be off the field and the biggest impact. And we're going to jump on a little bit about what he actually going to do off field, but on the field. But of course, just to answer the question, he would have to be the goal scorer to really triumph what's going to happen off the field and what's already happening. But is León ready?
That is the question. And early returns are kind of saying that no, they aren't quite ready for that. But yeah, I think Twitter agrees with us. We put out the question on Twitter and we got some good responses. At Sunny SoCal, Rob25 says the biggest winners are the shirt sponsor. So I guess what do they have, Home Depot up here, something like that, or Office Depot, I think, and maybe some cement sales down there might be benefiting from this.
It's a ridiculous shirt, isn't it, with that big
it's not the cleanest, is it, really?
Like,
no.
What is this?
At Brian RMW, friend of the show, says it's definitely off. No way it's significant on the pitch. At NorCal Chivas says there should be a law that prohibits him from playing in Mexico. That's pretty tough. And Tito Padilla says that it's definitely off, especially for the Mexican League, and they'll see viewership go up, which that would be kind of great for everyone here. But I don't know. I mean, when I first saw this news, it was just hard to process. I mean, for me, like when I see news pop up in the Mexican League, I'm quick to have a response. I'm quick to have a take. I'm happy to pound something on Twitter. When I saw the show up, I just kind of sat there because I just didn't know what to do. It was just kind of surprising. I don't know totally what to think of this news because, it's Landon Donovan. It's huge news, but also this is someone that hasn't really played very much, properly retired at the end of 2012. So it's been a little while now. So, I mean, it's just surprising. Where did this come from? Did you see anything like this coming? How surprised were you to see something like this, Wiso? I mean, it just came out of nowhere, really.
It came out of nowhere, and what's kind of now it's unfolding is that I think it was in one of the interviews. Even Donovan didn't know about 2 weeks ago. So, did the rumor start to talk? Did someone in León say, "Hey, we're going to try to reach out to Donovan. Here's this, this is our plan," and then Donovan's looking at it, told his buddies in LA or say, "Hey, no one's talked to me," and I'm going to believe Herculez Gomez when he said, that it's false. And then all of a sudden Donovan's like, well, let me listen to this. Let me listen to this idea. Okay, I see. You're going to pay me this. Let's do it. I really think that's how it went. Tom,
I'll tell you, this is what happened. This is what happened. Giles Barnes signed for Lyon. He's got the same agent as Landon Donovan. So the agent was in Lyon, talking to the Lyon president, and Lyon's president said to the agent, I want to get one more player in, and I want it to be a big, a bigger name and impact player, to bring down. And then I think they were joking around and they said Landon Donovan. And then the agent, this was last Monday, went to Landon Donovan and said, "Hey, Landon, do you fancy it?" I mean, this is what he said in his press conference. He said, no. He said, no, I'm happy with my life in San Diego. I'm watching football. I'm doing my thing on the TV. Like, I'm happy over there. And then what happened was Donovan called him back, I think the next day. And he said, you know what? I might be tempted. I want to go down to León. And so he went to the stadium, the facilities. And that's when the rumors started. Because people saw him in Lyon, one or two of the local journalists were there, but nobody else knew. So that's why it was weird how the rumors were starting like that. And then when it came to, I think, last Friday, then it was like they got the deal done. They did all the numbers and stuff. So a weird deal, because I honestly thought going into yesterday and before Donovan spoke, I thought he must have had in mind. He must have. It's impossible that. Someone just calls you and you've not played for so long and you're like, yeah, I'll do it. It must have been in the back of his mind, but I'm not even sure it was. But yeah, it's a strange one. It really is.
I mean, he's always been a bit of an interesting character. As we know, he stepped away from the game for a while. He had that short stint where he came out of retirement the first time, where he came back to the Galaxy for 6 matches towards the end of the season there. So it seems like a player that certainly comfortable in retirement, but not completely comfortable, and he retired early as well. I mean, you got to be mentioned. He's 35, going on 36. He's not necessarily done. So, it makes sense at this stage where if you still have that urge to get back in now before it, 2 or 3 more years pass, and then it's completely out of the question. Not maybe necessarily here in League MX as we've seen with some of these other players that are getting up there in age, but pretty surprising to see him coming back in again. But yeah, we've kind of seen that kind of in and out kind of pattern with Donovan before.
Yeah, I think the fact it was Mexico was really important to him, because I think that he always wanted to play here. I mean, obviously his Spanish is pretty good. Someone who's never lived in Mexico, his Spanish is pretty decent. He was talking yesterday about growing up playing with Mexicans, about his Latino style, about him not the normal American player. And I know he's said a lot of things, anti-Mexico things in the past, but I do believe he's got a lot of respect for Mexico and Mexicans. And I think that was an important factor. But I also think it goes one step beyond that. And I think towards the politics and stuff, I think Landon Donovan sees this as a really powerful statement. Just the fact he's coming down at this moment in time with all the stuff that's going on in terms of the politics in the United States, him as one of the Americans to Mexicans. There's not many Americans out there better known than Landon Donovan. Everybody in Mexico knows Landon Donovan. And I think the fact he's bringing his family down to Lyon, they're coming down with him. He's going to be living in this country. I think it's a powerful statement and honestly a really positive one. The way that he was talking about, walls not dividing us and stuff like that, I thought it was a big statement for him and a really good one, I thought.
I'm going to go ahead and just kind of play devil's advocate here, because I've never seen Donovan. I mean, and to your point, yes, he speaks Spanish pretty well, and I've heard that before. I've known that he played with Latinos in California, but he has said horrible things before. I think, the respect that he had against Mexico, maybe because of the rivalry, urinating in Guadalajara on the field, not caring about that. And all of a sudden, we're going to believe him when he says he loves Mexico and he's there to, break down barriers. I honestly think this is all for money. If he didn't know a week ago, where's all this Mexican love? We never saw that. And if it's for the politics, why wasn't he more vocal before this week? Dollar signs ran in. He needs to make money. It's continuing. We've seen that players struggle after they're retired. If they're not in TV, it's really hard to find a way. He's either trying to get into the politics, U.S. soccer, and I just see it let me just go in there, go to Mexico. Let me tell them, the fans what they want to hear. Barriers, it's going to be great. I used to play with Mexican, and people are going to eat it up, and it's happening already. So if I step out of it and go, that's great. I'm glad that Mexico is at least being highlighted. I don't believe it though. Maybe because I'm an Eric Leon fan. And I just kind of throwing it out there and calling him out because I've never heard this Mexico love before from Donovan. So I don't know.
Well, assuming that we can't actually step into his head and understand all of his motivations for what he's doing right now, what can we expect on the field? I mean, because ultimately, this is not someone who's going to just stand on the sidelines and wave a flag. I mean, this is someone that is being signed as a player. I mean, does he have anything left in the tank? Is there any way to know? I mean, 3+ years, 6 matches, it's tough to know what he has right now and what ability he has, especially if maybe 2 weeks ago this wasn't even really a consideration. So what do you guys expect? Tom, what do you expect on the field from Donovan? Can we expect anything?
I think if you can make an argument that you can. Definitely. I mean, this is a league where Senior was playing, until a year ago, at 39, 40 years old. It's a league where Conejo Perez is still 45 or something, 44. I mean, Rafa Marquez is still there at 38. And obviously it's different with Donovan because he's been retired. That is so fast-paced and so dynamic that, an older player can't thrive. I think Donovan, his biggest thing is getting up to speed. Is his body still there? Because, I mean, that's the biggest issue. And in terms of playing, he can 100% contribute because his style of play, I think will suit the league really well. I think he'll be given space and he'll be able to work within that space. And I think, you know, it can be an impact substitute. I mean, I think that's probably the best right now. You can't see him getting rid of Chapito Montes out of the Lyon starting 11 right now. But if Lyon are behind or drawing, you know, in the playoffs, and you bring Donovan on, I think that's the kind of, you know, the impact that he could make. So yeah, I mean, that's if he can get to full fitness. But in terms of talent, I mean, he's never ever been short of talent, and if you give him the ball, then he can still do things. But whether he can get to full fitness, that's, I mean, you know, after last night, the furore and the celebration and the everything going on in Lyon last night, it's like today he must have woken up and thought, crap, now I'm going to do a preseason, you know, for the first time in like 2.5 years or something. Now I've got to do a preseason, because that's basically what Landon Donovan's got to do now, between now and whenever he makes his debut for Lyon, which can't be in the next 2 weeks, because he's not played. I mean, he did look quite trim, but I mean, he's going to need at least 2 weeks. So now these next 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks for Landon Donovan are absolutely vital, because now he has to do the really hard work where nobody's going to see, you know, nobody's going to see the work he's doing in the background, and he's going to, you know, that's going to provide the platform for whatever he does moving forward. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's painting the positive picture.
Right. And it's a big question mark. I mean, because for me, the thing that gives me hope that Donovan could be an impactful player for Lyon, and as you said, Tom, this is not someone who's coming in as a star signing, taking over a starting role right away or anything like that. This is a substitute role. This is someone who could make an impact coming on in the second half. But I kind of think Donovan's game is suited to the old man game. Like, he has those like old man skills where he could play up front, he could distribute, he could find the passes. He's had speed and he's been able to work on the break, but he's never been a player that's been dependent upon it. He's someone that can find the players in the right positions to set them up and score. And I think that would suit him well if and it's a massive if 3+ years, 6 games, we just don't know what condition he's in. And with that kind of time off, you don't know if you're gonna find it again, to be honest. But if he does, and if he is able to regain the physical abilities, at least partially, I think he's well suited to have an impact. Not a massive one, not nearly the set off the fireworks and the mass display to match the off the field production. But the on the field production, it could be impactful, not massive, but impactful. Wiso, Lyon fan Wiso. Does he fit? How does he fit into this roster?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't fit. This is a retired player we're talking about. This is someone that hasn't had. So he had 6 games 2 years ago and scored 1 goal, which is everyone's, you know, making it such a huge deal that he scored away. You know, and I don't even know whom he scored against, but this is a player that the last 4 years he hasn't done anything. And aside from coming back in Galaxy and playing 6 games, and I think that most of you want Landon to work. I get it. If Landon was going to Cruz Azul, I'd be like, that's awesome. Go ahead. Go to that team, or go to America, or go to Chivas. I'd be like, that's cool. You know, I want to see Landon on the field. I want to go ahead and laugh and see how he does. But then you go back. This is my team, right? This is a team where if you're looking for players, is to make the team better, is to make sure that you have maybe someone that can go in there and help you positively. This is more of a gamble. You give me Landon Donovan in 2015, and that's if I'd be like, you know what? Let's see how he does. I'll give him a chance. Give me Donovan in 2009, I'll sign him right away. Right? Because I remember that player that I hated for 10 years, since the 2000s to 2010, that blew past people, that had great vision and had great definition with both legs. I haven't seen that Donovan in a very, very long time. Americans hadn't seen that Donovan in a very long time. So now you're like, let's see, could he do better? But then I go back, this is my team. And I think that's where everyone's kind of telling me that you're hating on it. But I ask you, would you raise your hand for Donovan to go in your team?
He's not going to disrupt what's already going on there.
You don't think that he goes in and whoever was supposed to sub maybe he takes somebody's position? You don't think it's going to maybe cause problems in there, that they're just using him as a marketing thing so he can get on the field? I think it could happen.
No, I don't think so. I think he's going to be a So if there's injuries and stuff like that, then yeah, you know, he might start games, but I don't see unless he really does make an impact off the bench first. And obviously you've got the cup games as well. So yeah, I don't think he. I can't see him disrupting. I honestly think a lot of the players are gonna like playing with him.
Do you think there's any possibility
big
that
name and stuff? And
do you think there's a possibility that Gustavo Diaz, the manager, is going to be pressured to give him minutes? Because like it makes logical sense that this is someone who's going to come in and not be ready to make an impact right away, and is going to be used in limited minutes, obviously with his lack of playing time recently and just getting used to the league and getting used to the team. But I mean, with the splash, with the ceremony that came with that, is there any possibility that ownership is looking at the manager saying, you got to get this guy in there, he's got to be playing? Because I could see a potential for conflict there. Do you guys see that as a possibility?
I think in the background, no doubt about it, but I don't think they've obviously spoken. Jesus Martinez and Gustavo Diaz. You know, obviously they know the score. They know what player they've got. They know they've got a player coming out of retirement. Neither of them are idiots. You know, and neither's Donovan. They're not. But having said that, if Landon Donovan sat on the bench week in, week out, then the president might be like, "Hey, can we get him on a bit now and then?" And I think, you know, that I wouldn't rule that out, but I don't think it's going to be like, right, Donovan's here now, Donovan's starting every game. Full stop.
Look, and I hope I'm wrong. I know that people are like, "Wow, we so calm down," you know, and maybe he does. Maybe we see that Donovan and he's a great athlete. And he comes back and he shows. No, I just wouldn't like to be having that gamble and that talking about it right now.
I think that's what you're saying. What you're basically saying is it is a risk, and you know I do completely agree with that. It's a huge risk. It's a risk for Lyon because you know they could have. You know, if they go out and they sign this player and it completely doesn't work, then they're going to look a bit silly, you know, and the president's going to look a bit silly and they're going to be like, why did you bring this player out of retirement? Also for Landon Donovan, if it doesn't work out, why have you finished your career in this by going down to win a massive ceremony, a big presentation, and then all of a sudden you just haven't got it anymore because you've not played for so long. So, you know, from both sides, I think that there is an element of balance by you know the off-field stuff, the attention that Lyon's going to get, and I think you know that will have been factored in there.
It's true, yeah, you're right. They're getting a ton of attention, and you're seeing, I'm sure, Twitter followers and the marketing aspect. But at the same time, Lyon always had problems with Wi-Fi, the English language when it counts. And I know we have to leave pretty soon, but Tom, you try to go out, you try to buy a Lyon jersey yesterday, and what happened?
No, yeah, I do. You know, I think in general, realized like they should have done on this. You know, in terms of I don't know if they want to if they want big attention, then I think that in terms of the English language, especially the English language market in the States, because Landon Donovan is maybe the biggest US soccer player ever. You know, is that an exaggeration? I don't know.
It's not.
But Leonard just signed him, and it's like, where's there's no content in English. The website's down. I think I was the only journalist at the presentation, and I'll tell you the reason behind that. Because usually, if an MLS team had signed a massive player, they would have sent out a list, the mailing list. And obviously, Lyon, I don't know if they've got a mailing list, but
I don't think we do. That's what I'm saying. It's like they did. It's like here, it's all these huge marketing geniuses that are out there.
Right.
This happened in 1 week, and they're not ready for it. The website's down. I mean,
if you're going to sign a player of this magnitude in the United States, it needs to be accompanied with the ability to capitalize on that market that is interested now. But all it is a news story, and it's going to die because there's no follow up. The English language content's not there. As you mentioned, we saw the website's down. Like there's no marketing. There's no outreach to accompany this big signing. And if you're going to make a big signing like that, and it's about maybe not totally on the field stuff, then all that stuff should be there. All that off the field, all that PR work should be done if it's about PR, right? So if you're making that big signing, you want it to be a big player who's going to have a big impact. And, it's a doubt, isn't it? So, okay, and we're gonna keep the show short tonight. We're gonna keep it to the Landon Donovan and Lyon. Let's end with this question. All right. With or without this splashy move, Lyon is off to a fantastic start to this season. Do you see them as legit title contenders at this point? Do they have enough? Now, we know they're not as talented as Monterrey and Tigres at this point, but can they compete? Do you see them making a splash? Can they push for a title this season? What do you guys think?
Conviso.
Yeah, no, I mean, look at what they did last season. It wasn't that it was definitely a turnaround from a year ago in the Apertura, and now I can definitely see them in the playoffs. Now, do they have the talent enough like the Monterrey's, the Nuevo Leon teams? No, as much as I would like them to, but Leon has had that type of year where they're slowly getting buy-in, and all of a sudden they surprise, and anything can happen in Liga MX. I'm excited the fact that we're spending 30 minutes on Leon. I'll be honest. Thank you, Landon Donovan. So I'll go ahead and be the one. Thank you, Landon. And I'll end it there because it's at least everyone's talking about my team, which is great. But at the same time, I think Leon. I felt like this is it. They ended okay, and we were coming off to this season. I'm looking at it. I'm seeing the lineup. I'm seeing the great start, and then boom. It's like, here we go. Here's some news for you. And like I said, 4 or 5 years ago, give me Landon Donovan, I'd be okay with it. Tom.
I think Leon can definitely compete for the title. I think they're right up there. I think Monterrey teams, and you've got I think America and Leon up there. I think those are the clubs that are chasing pack this season. And the biggest evidence that I've got for that is just rewatch that Tigres or semi-final of the Apertura.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the quarter-final, and it was they drew over the two legs. A bit more like 180 minutes. Could have defeated the eventual champion Tigres. They could have put them out. There wasn't a massive gulf between the teams.
Exactly.
And so I think Leon have got a quite well-established core of the team. I think that especially obviously Boselli is just the rate of scoring is unbelievable. But Alex Mejia as well is one of the best central midfielders in Liga MX. So, and then Elias Hernandez has just been on fire, and you put it all together, and it's a pretty good team, and I think it's a well-managed team as well with Gustavo Diaz.
Yeah. Well, time will tell, surely, and we'll see. We'll certainly all be watching to see how Donovan integrates in this team, and it's going to be a big story for the rest of the season. So it's definitely going to be something that I'm sure we'll be discussing more on the future Mexican soccer shows. We're going to keep the show a little short tonight. We have some sick people, we have some jet lag people, so we're going to wrap it up. But we'll add on to next week and make next week's extra long if that works as a fair trade. Later this week, we have over on the Patreon page for supporters of the show. Another Countdown to Russia podcast coming out. Tom, Cesar, and Naib will bring another one for us. Just to finish out the show for tonight, Tom, can you give us maybe a hint, a little preview about what's to come in this week's Countdown to Russia podcast?
Yeah, I think we're going to go through the potential squad for the Mexico squad for the game against Bosnia later on this month.
Jesse Gonzalez gets called?
Jesse Gonzalez, no. He went the other way. Jonathan Gonzalez, yeah, I think he's going to be in there. I think in the next couple of days, his should be through. So talking about him, other potential Liga MX-based players, younger ones, Carlos Vargas, I think from Club America is making a really big claim. And yeah, we're going to discuss what we're going to see later on next month.
Awesome. Okay, we'll be looking forward to that. If you're not already a patron, please consider going over to patreon.com/Mexican Soccer Show. A lot of good content there, including that podcast that Tom just talked about. Wiso, final words to end the show about your beloved Lyon.
Well, guys, it happened. It's true. Landon Donovan will be playing in Liga MX. We'll see how many minutes. Just remember, when we thought the phenomenon of Ronaldinho was going to make a splash in Liga MX, what happened there? Now, you take both talents, and I'll take Ronaldinho, which And all irony, he decided to retire today. So that tells you something. There's some signs, guys. Well, make sure you tune in, follow us everywhere, subscribe, and here another quick edition of the Mexican Soccer Show with Landon Donovan Focus. We'll see you guys next Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific. Hasta la próxima.